Hi guys, Adam here. Got a huge and long awaited update to tell you about today on the Stats software. What we've done is we've added a live link to the Betfair markets, so you can view the current prices and traded volumes on a few of the key markets for each match. You can also see the standard Betfair graphs, and most importantly, you can filter on all this information as well. The benefits of that are pretty obvious, I guess, but two key examples off the top of my head would be firstly, if you're getting qualifiers thrown up by your filters for pretty crappy leagues without much liquidity, then which you probably wouldn't bother trading even if the stats were good, then you can filter on the total traded amount being greater than whatever. So you're effectively filtering out those poor quality matches. The other main example would be, obviously trading's all about value, and if you can filter on price, then you can obviously make sure that you're finding value bets and trades. And I'll do a little example of that in a second just to demonstrate what we've done. So let's have a look then. The first thing you might notice is that the layout has changed a bit on the stats software. Firstly, we've made it so the software's full screen. So it launches now without any of the site banners or anything like that on there. I know it was a bit of a pain scrolling around before to get the software in view sometimes, and then obviously having to scroll through some of the panels in the actual software itself. So hopefully that gets around that one issue and just displays it a bit more in a bit more user-friendly way for you. Obviously, you don't get any of the kind of quick link menus and stuff now, but it does launch in a separate tab anyway, as you can see. So all you would need to do really is switch back to your dashboard or to the previous page to get to everything else. Obviously, we also had to find somewhere to display all this new price information. So we've added this selector at the top here, which you can use to easily switch between the historical stats or the Betfair markets, depending on what you're interested in at the time. The stats section itself has all the same features, even if the buttons have been reordered slightly. So let's bounce straight over to the prices section for this match, and we'll see what we've got. So a lot of those options that were there at the top aren't really relevant for the prices, so they've disappeared, and we're left with this one selector for the market that you want to look at. So we've got the match odds market, we've got the correct score market, and then over or under 0.5, 1.5, 2.5, and 3.5. Looking at the match odds market, then we've got the current prices for each selection, and this is the actual current trading price, the last traded price, not the we're not looking at the full market depth on both sides of the book with whatever Mickey Mouse bets people might be offering. It's what's actually being traded, so it's a bit more relevant from a trading perspective for you guys. We've also got the amount traded so far on each selection, and also the total traded on the market at the top here. You will sometimes see a little arrow next to the price, either a green up arrow, a bit like these ones on the league table, green up arrow indicating that the price is moving up, and a red down arrow to indicate that the price is steaming or going down. And that's based on the previous few traded prices that we've captured for that runner. As always, this info button at the top here will tell you various things about the table and the figures that are contained in it. And all these figures here in this table update straight from Betfair every 5 minutes or so. You can see you've also got the Betfair Graph here, which is currently showing the graph for the home team. If you click the rows in the table here, that will switch the graph to whichever selection you're interested in. And if you click this little icon at the top right of the graph, that will actually open a new tab and take you straight to that Betfair market that you're looking at on the Betfair site. You will get some matches without any prices on them. That could be because the match is already in play, or maybe it hasn't actually had any money matched on it, or maybe it hasn't even appeared on the Betfair site yet, and maybe it never will. Betfair can be a little bit fickle, to be honest, with which matches they actually display for some of the less popular leagues. So we do sometimes get some matches on our stats software that don't actually appear on Betfair. I think there'll probably also be somewhere maybe the match odds market has appeared, but we're still waiting for the correct score to appear, and so on and so on. Okay, so filters then. The prices fit right into the current way of filtering everything that you've been using up to now, so there shouldn't be any surprises really. In the subject box here at the top, you've got a new option, which is simply Betfair. And then for stats types, we've just got totals and odds. And the totals are the traded volumes, so you've got traded amounts for each selection, and then also the overall market ones are in here as well. Then we've got odds, which is obviously the prices for each selection. And notice how you've got options here for the favourite and the underdog. I figured you'd quite often want to filter on the price of the favourite or the underdog. And obviously, at the stage when you're building a filter, you're not going to know whether the home team's the favourite or the away team or whatever. So this does the work of figuring that out for you. You can obviously select all the same options down here to restrict the filter a bit further. Now, some of these obviously don't apply where the live prices are concerned, so they're just ignored. Things like the scope, we're not looking at the last 5, 10, 20 matches here because we're not looking at historical stats. We're looking at the current live prices, which are changing all the time. And the same goes for current season and same opposition. Excluding promoted and relegated teams and playoffs will still work though, because that's looking at the upcoming match itself. The other options are still there because obviously you could combine a price filter with other filters, and then these options could have an effect. So let's run this basic filter that we've come up with here, and we get the usual screen with all the results showing us matches that fit the criteria. So I think being able to filter on price like this is going to really help you guys. As we said earlier, trading is often all about finding value. And if I just do a really quick, simple example, let's say we're looking to lay the draw. So let's look for matches where there's been a draw in less than 25% of recent matches for starters. And for simplicity's sake, we could say that if it's been a draw in 25% of recent matches, the true odds, if that was the only deciding factor, would be 4. That's 100 over 25, right? So why don't we add an odds filtering here and look for matches where the draw is priced lower than 4? And based on our criteria, any results we get could then be seen as value bets. Let's also add in a minimum traded amount on the match odds market as well. Let's say 5,000, because we're not really interested in low liquidity matches because it might be harder to get matched in play or whatever, or might not even be going in play for that matter. Okay, so there we go. We'll get a few results here. If I sort these by the draw percentage, so you can see the Chelsea-Man City match, actually they've only got an overall draw percentage of 5% between them. But it's available to lay, or it's trading, the draw price is trading at 3.5. So again, if that was the only deciding factor, which obviously it wouldn't be, that would be quite a good value bet. It's obviously a pretty simplified example. There are more factors that would go into determining the likelihood of a draw, but you get the idea. You can see how you can combine any number of these stats with the price filters to find value in your trades. I mean, if you know that an over 2.5 result is really likely if based on your research, you've got two quite high scoring teams. Maybe it's a specific league that you're interested in. Both teams have a high percentage of goals in the first 20 minutes. You could drop a price filter in there and find matches straight away where the odds don't really reflect the true likelihood of that outcome. And, bang, you've got value. Right, well, I think I'll stop talking now. I'll just let you guys crack on and make some money, really. So best of luck as always. Let us know what you think of the new feature, and I'll catch up with you on the forum.